True, there's one more that you need to hear. Can you hear my song? Can you hear my music? It's thanks. Hi, and good afternoon from the city of Dallas. It is our Thanksgiving Day. So usually we enjoy our lives. I actually have a party that I'm supposed to go for. After this conversation, I would be off for my party. Just give me a second. I usually don't like talking and then I'm seeing the reflection of the light, but it's been raining, so it's kind of dark. So let's pull some stones that will not be directly in my glasses. Give me a second. Okay. Okay, so this works, but I can still see the reflection. That's what happens when you put on glasses. You have to keep wondering. People who don't wear glasses, you guys are so, I don't know what's going on, but you guys are on another planet. I have been putting on glasses for about since I was 10. So that's 29. One final check. Yeah, we got to work with this, and then I'll just have to remove my glasses. So it's a beautiful afternoon in the city of Dallas, and I am happy to be here. I couldn't celebrate Thanksgiving last year because my father passed on Thanksgiving Day, and then my older sister had called me to please inform every other person in the family. So that's usually part of your work when you work as a pastor and as a therapist and then as a professional. So they usually reach out to you to have the conversation in the most subtle and beautiful, and the most peaceful way to break something something that is called a tragedy, but you have to drop it to feel a little less painful. Not that it will feel less painful, but don't drop it as hard as it should sound. So I remember that she had told me, and I needed to tell my mom and then my siblings and then some other people in the family. And I remember calling my mom's friend because she was with her friend, and I said to him, they've been friends since about 30 years ago. And I said to him, my father has decided to rest, and I think that it's a fantastic and beautiful decision. So I am celebrating his peace and his rest. And the man said, okay, I understand the message. And that's how I also broke it down to my brothers that Daddy has decided to stop fighting and to rest. And I am happy and glad that he fought like a warrior and he's going to rest like a warrior. Like some things are hard to do, but you got to do them. So it's been 1 year since I became fatherless, or whatever they usually call those things, but I'm good. God is the kingpin. He's just ensuring that my fluffy life is intact. So how are we doing Can you all hear me? To all the people who bought badges, two awesome people bought badges, thank you so much for buying the badge. Can you see and hear me? Like, can you see my pretty soul and beautiful face? And then can you hear my just cute voice? We don't shout here. We have passed the stage where we have to be shouting and stressing. We're at the point in our lives where if it's not fluffy, we don't need it. So can you see me? Can you see me? Thank you so much, Willex Noble, for buying the badge. So when you are not putting on your glasses, you kind of squint, you know. So I'm in between you seeing the reflection of the light in my eyes through my glasses, or I have to squint. Those are part of the issues that people with glasses put on, you know. Thank you so much. So this is a sacrifice. Like, it is a sacrifice that I'm here having this conversation. This is Thanksgiving. It's my father's 1-year anniversary. And then we're still having a conversation on how shame affects our relationship with God. So every time that I teach, I don't teach because I know it all. I teach because I'm a student of knowledge, wisdom. I research. And sometimes when I find something, I take pleasure in sharing it. So if you want to share, please feel free to share. There's a statement I've never understood. I'm not sure if I ever will. I see it everywhere. Like when I'm taking a stroll on social media, people just jump on people's walls, and I see, oh, I disagree, and they just go on to fight. And it's just strange to me because I just can't even imagine me jumping on somebody's wall, a total stranger, somebody I've never appreciated before. I have never sent a good message to them. I have never shared something good with them. I've never even commented or dropped a kind comment. And then the first thing is I disagree. Like, even if you were not raised somehow, you will raise yourself. So I've made it a point of duty not to criticize someone I've never appreciated. It's just me. Yeah, it's just my personal stance now. If I've never appreciated you, I'm not going to drop any criticism or feedback. If there's something that I want to say and I want to say it pretty well, I would ensure that I appreciate you first. Like, I will say something. I will say something like, oh, your jacket is beautiful. I don't have to say or tell a lie. There's something good about everyone. So it is strange for me when I just see people, I don't get it. Maybe that I'm old or something. I just see drama. And I'm like, you are really not interested in a conversation. You just want to fight and win. Or maybe some people just disagree for the sake of disagreeing. I can imagine sitting at the White House, you know, the White House in the US, and then we're having a conversation, global and superpowers, and then somebody says something, and then I just jump in and say, I disagree. Like, what's really going on? Can't you share your thoughts peacefully and respectfully? Like, oh, yeah, okay. I also think, or I have a different opinion, or can we look at it through this lens? Like, why does it look like somebody has to win something? Are you guys always competing in life? I don't know, but that's just running through. So you guys will be fine. So let's talk about how shame affects your relationship with God. Before I start, somebody said something and I think I should check it out just in case. Okay, I have seen it. So how does shame affect your relationship with God? So I've seen that one of the reasons why we struggle with relating with God directly is because we do not feel good enough and we do not feel worthy. So we think that because of what has happened to us in the past, we can't approach Him directly, or some other people have like superpowers, or some other people have access to God more than we do. So I'll give you an example. I was watching something on Netflix, and it's a series. I'm actually not done. And there was a lady there, so it's like a makeover kind of thing. There was a lady there where, so there's this elegant person who does like a personality makeover, not a personality makeover, like a personal branding kind of thing for people. So he styles you, styles your house, just helps you with your personal brand. So there's this young lady, 25-year-old, that needed her service. And then I think her parents got the professional for her. And one of the things that the young lady said is that she likes to strip. So she likes to open her body. She actually sang a song about opening titties or something. I don't know the song. She likes to open her body. She likes to be almost naked when she's going out. And the professional asked her why. And she said, because it makes me feel attractive. It makes me get attention. It makes me feel desired, feel wanted, feel liked, feel loved, whatever it is. And the lady said, what if you dress up and you have like just what I'm wearing, like you're fully clothed? How would you feel? She said she doesn't think that she would get attention. She doesn't think she would be desired or liked and stuff. And then she also proceeded to say that she's hardly without makeup. And the professional asked her why. And she said because she doesn't want to stare at her face in the mirror, that every time she does, it makes her feel ugly. So she's almost always with makeup on. And now I don't know if she sleeps with makeup on because I didn't ask her, but she says she's hardly with makeup. But I'm thinking she's probably not sleeping with makeup, but I don't know. And then she started crying. And I could relate with her tears because sometimes you don't know what is going on with people. And she said another thing. The lady said, when last did you feel beautiful? And she said, I've never felt beautiful. I always feel like I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not beautiful, I'm not sexy. So I have to open my titties, I have to be naked to get attention. And usually when we see that kind of person on the street or on the road or anywhere, we just think that they are loose, they have no self-worth and stuff. Hardly do we think that there's something that their soul desires, that they feel that nakedness and nudity can deliver to them. I'm not making excuses for them. I'm not making it look like what they're doing is right. I'm just explaining what is going on behind the scene. So that kind of person, for example, what the lady had to do for her is to first of all work on her like therapy before the entire makeover. So in relating with God, one thing I've noticed is, for example, if you do not have a good relationship with your father, you may actually get into different spectrums. The first spectrum is that you may not trust God because your earthly father did not do anything to deserve your trust. They actually broke your trust. The other spectrum may be that you actually have a good relationship with God because of your lack of earthly fatherhood, that kind of thing. And then another thing is that you may be looking for fatherhood in anything or everyone that you meet. That's one of the reasons why people get attached to their spiritual leaders. They're always quoting their spiritual leaders. One of the reasons, if you check it, is the fact that some of them didn't have a good relationship with their fathers. So they're always looking for father figures. They're always looking for protection, provision, preservation. They're always looking for like a covering, and then it is one of the reasons, it's not the only reason, it is one of the reasons why people just generally and naturally default to spiritual leaders. In fact, sometimes some of these leaders are even younger than them and they're still calling them Papa, Daddy, all of those strange names. So what does shame really do? From childhood, if you have been told that you are not good enough, you are not beautiful enough, you are not tall enough, you are not slim enough, you are not figure eight, you are not this, you are not that, Like if you have been told how you are not good enough, like if you've been criticized repeatedly, there are some things you may not be able to relate with. When someone or people criticize you repeatedly, it is an attack on your soul and your self-esteem. It is an attack on your peace and your joy. From the moment you wake up till the moment you go to bed, people are after you, telling you how unwise, unintelligent, and terrible you are. Whatever mistake you make is blown out of proportion. Sometimes they forget that you are a child or you are growing. They forget that, oh, you are young, and part of being young is the ability to make mistakes. I see what some people post on social media, and if I see that the person needs to get like a different perspective, what I usually would do is to talk to you in your DM. But I've only done it for one person on Instagram and one person on Twitter. In fact, there was one, interestingly, I had his WhatsApp number. So I just said, I munched the conversation and I sent it to him and I said, I like this, but have you thought of this perspective? And he said, wow, I didn't think of that. Let me go delete it. I didn't have to drag him by saying I don't agree. I didn't have to insult him. I didn't have to make it look like I was wiser. I just simply said, have you thought of this perspective? There are different perspectives in life. And if your intention is to always make people feel lesser and lower and condescending, then there's something fundamentally wrong with you. And I have gotten to a point also where I have informed myself, I will not criticize you if I have never appreciated you. So let me write what we're talking about this afternoon. Let me just munch it. How shame affects so your relationship with God. So I'm writing it here so that people that are just joining can see what we're talking about, which is how shame affects your relationship with God. So I was saying, if you were raised with or by people who were always criticizing you, if you were with family members or siblings, or maybe spiritual leaders or neighbors, or just people around you who were always criticizing you, there's a tendency you will not feel good enough. And then there's a tendency you may have issues with trust, you may have issues with love, you may have issues with being vulnerable with people. And it's understandable. It's understandable because you have never felt safe. So even feeling safe with God is funny. You've never felt safe. You've never felt so vulnerable. Every time people saw you in your element, people feel like you must be silly or foolish or something like that. Like people come for you. For someone like me, let me give you an example. Sometimes when I play, people say, oh, you're the emotions doctor. When you do things and people are trying to put you in a box, they may not even mean any harm. You are the one who has to say to yourself that you don't have a title every time. You don't have to function with a title every time. You don't have to pretend to be a professional every time. Before you became a Christian, you were human. Christianity was added to you. You were human first. You weren't born a Christian. You were human first. It was as you grew that your programming at home and every other thing started being added onto you. But you are first human before we got into the religion. So shame is that perfume that adults sprinkle on children. Shame starts from adults. And if we need to fix shame, we adults have to take responsibility. Every shame that you feel came from an adult. Even if it was a child that insulted you when you were a child, that child learnt it from an adult. Every shame you feel, every embarrassment you feel, every negative feeling that you have, a good number of them, or most of them, started from childhood. Every time I see Elon Musk, I see a badly behaved genius. And I had to go watch his documentary to understand him. I like him, but we share different perspectives on different things. I like his knowledge. I like the disruptive nature. But when I was watching his documentary, I understood him better. And there was a statement in the documentary that made me know that that is a ticking traumatic bomb. Everything you see about Elon beyond his genius is somebody who is traumatized. There was a statement that I heard in the documentary that says Elon grew up with little or no supervision. And that made everything to me. Meaning, as a child, Elon grew up with little or no supervision. The good part of that is that there was no adult there to cripple his dream. So he could dream. His mind could wander. He could think. There was nobody to supervise his thoughts. There was nobody to say, oh, that's too big. We can't afford that. And we need to manage. There was nobody to suppress him. Good. Little or no supervision. Elon dreamt. He visualized. He saw. And it's the same thing with Kanye West. A genius, but a badly behaved genius. Nothing about what they do is what I want to be. Nothing. And the fact that they could dream, the fact that they could visualize, the fact that they had little or no supervision meant there was no adult forcing their own program and their thoughts in their lives or on them. But the negative side is that freedom may be the new bondage. I live in the US and I know that freedom is the new bondage, where anybody can wake up and be anything. You can just decide and say that this is your gender today, and then you come up with pronouns, and when a child grows up without boundaries, you will see the lack of social intelligence and you will see the lack of emotional intelligence. So Elon definitely is a genius, but he didn't take courses on empathy and compassion, and he doesn't care. In the documentary, his ex-wife, his first wife, actually said that Elon used to say to her daily that if you were my staff, I would have fired you. That's a narcissistic behavior where you are suppressing your partner on a daily basis, where you are painting. Just imagine that you have a white wall, and then every day you write that statement on the white wall. One day, that white wall will become very messy. That's what he did to his first wife. I don't know about other people, but I heard that one. Where she said he was always saying that if you were my staff, I would have fired you. In fact, there was another statement that I heard her say about, I think she suggested something to him. And Elon said, I am richer than you, so why am I supposed to take whatever? And it's the same thing with Kanye. Why am I giving you these examples? I like them. I respect them. I don't want to be like them. And I understand why. I don't agree or disagree. I don't use those statements. I can respect you, but not want to be like you. I listen to him. I get gingered by his dream and visualization. I love Teslas, but there's nothing close to me desiring to be close to any of them, because I know what it is to be broken by words. I know what it is to be constantly attacked, by someone who is supposed to be in your corner. And some of us experienced that in childhood. So by the time we got to teenagehood and we became youths and adults, our threshold for trust almost zero, for love, we're just winging it, for vulnerability, we're winging it. And how do I know? Check out what happens on social media. almost everybody fights everybody nowadays. Like it is just jumping from one page to the other, just causing chaos. And I keep wondering that what is missing in your life? Like what is really going on? Everybody who has ever encountered me most likely met me on my page or maybe where I was speaking. But you will not see me malfunction on another. Like, what is going on in your life? And it's the same way we get to church. Let me also give you some examples. In fact, if you attend churches, there are some songs that, if you are not careful, have some programmings that I don't understand. And I'll sing the songs for you. What does it even mean when we are singing songs like I don't know, but when songs move from worshiping God to almost sounding competitive, Yoruba say something like Olote. When it looks like something is coming from a place of malice or maliciousness. You can't, every time I listen to songs like what Nathaniel Bassey, Victoria Orenze, Mercy Chinwo, Sinach, I'm trying to remember their names, Frank Edwards. When I hear some songs like that, I see the purity and I see the relationship that they have in their closet. Yeah, songs like what Dunsin Oyekan, and some other people bring on the scene. You see purity and authenticity. And then there's some songs that just launch you into the competitive zone. They launch you into the me versus other people zone. And for example, Christians are supposed to be the anchors of love. But you and I know that we hardly represent that. But the unfortunate thing is that we don't particularly agree that we don't. But you and I know that we hardly represent that. The anchors and ambassadors of love do not represent love. You know why? We do not have self-love. We do not have self-love. Everybody who hates other people hates themselves. I will say that again. It takes you to hate yourself, to be envious of other people, to feel threatened by other people, to hate other people. When people say to me, you must be intimidating people, I'm like, I don't know, they don't exist to me. Like, what's my business? Like, when I post on my wall, I post for myself. I don't even post for my timeline. Like, I just post what gives me joy. And one of the reasons why, even when we're in the presence of God, people can feel and taste and touch the meanness is because that is really what is within us. Like, check out how many people call themselves Christians on earth and what the earth looks like. That's when you will really see that we don't even understand the assignment. And we don't understand the assignment because we don't know who we are worshiping. We don't know who we have been called to serve. And because of all of that, we have different cloaks and different garments. And one of the garments is the garment of shame. Because once you feel shame, once you feel embarrassed and ashamed of yourself, you would want to spray that shame everywhere you go. I was listening to a Black American during the week. She's single. She was talking about her singlehood. And she said something that I've always said. And it struck me because I didn't even know that Black Americans also experience that. She said she's 40 and she's not married. And they asked her how she copes or something. And she said that she's noticed that everyone who stresses her about marriage and who tries to embarrass her about marriage are unhappy in their personal lives. That the ones that are happy in their personal lives would rather pray for her, take her out, and help her enjoy her life more. But the ones that are deeply unhappy attempt to spray you with the bottle of perfume that radiates shame. And I just observed that one of the reasons why people offer other people shame is because they are in shame. And the shame that they are in, they will rather be in it as opposed to sorting it out. And what do I mean? Almost all of us have gone through childhood trauma. And the question is, when do you really want to fix it? When do you really want to fix it? The childhood pain from when we were young, we would not achieve our way out of trauma. We will not achieve our way out of pain. You will not perfume your way out of trauma. You will not make up your way out of trauma. You will not buff up out of trauma. Trauma is resistant to designers, resistant to your cars, resistant to your perfume, resistant to your accent, resistant to the color of your passport. Trauma will expose you. Trauma will embarrass you. It will mess you up. It will mess your relationships up. It will mess your friendships up. And most especially, even when you're talking to God, you'll be suspecting God. There are some Christians that know that they are Christians on the exterior. In the interior, they are herbalists, and they know. You know that it's one leg in, one leg out. You go to the bar beach to do series of things. You go and visit, they give you soap, they give you water, they give you drink. Like, even you don't even trust God that much to know that if God can say it, he will do it. And God has your back. The reason why we don't believe God has our back is because maybe our earthly parents didn't have our backs. Maybe our custodians didn't have our backs. Maybe they messed us up. Maybe the people who were supposed to preserve us consumed us. So if there's any part of you that is always doubting God, if there's a part of you that is always suspecting God, if there's a part of you that feels like you need a middleman to have a conversation with God, I am here to just ask you that part of you that feels not good enough, when are you going to fix it? When I talk about God, it's with authority, because I know who I submit to. I have options. There are over 100 other religions that I can belong to. I am not a Christian by accident. I'm not a Christian because it sounds cool. I have seen results. I have seen and tasted and felt. That is why I am here. And that is why I have been here for about 20 years. Do I fully understand or comprehend him? No. But I rant to him. I vent at him. I talk to God like I'm talking to my friend. I don't have any barriers. Nobody can tell me how to talk to my dad. You can't be telling me don't question God. I'm not even stressing you. Leave me and my daddy alone. Why are you supervising? Why are you doing senior prefect over my own relationship? No. Anything you want to do with God, go do it. I want to talk to God. I want to ask him questions. I want to have a father and daughter chat. And there's nothing I can't say to him. Absolutely nothing. Because I know that everything I say to him, everything is safe. I'm not thinking, will he leak our chat? No. Will he screenshot? No. So if there's any part of you that does not trust God, it's a trust issue, and we should find why. What happened to you in childhood that made you lose trust in people and automatically not be able to gather the trust for the one that created you? Like, the one that created you particularly says that he that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. What is that part of you that feels that God is a fraud? What is that part of you that feels that God is scam? What is that part of you that feels that I need to have plan A, B, C, D, E, just in case? What is that part of you that feels like God is bipolar? What is that part of you that feels like God won't answer your prayers because he doesn't like you? How do you approach him? If you have to use a middleman, if you have to always approach him, it is funny where people want to get married and they are getting married based on what their pastor says. Like, they can't confidently articulate that I am getting married to this person because of 1, 2, 3, 4, and because I heard God. It is the fact that, we went to pray with our pastor What part of you makes you feel like you need a gate man to give you access to your dad? Just imagine if your father was, let's use Bill Gates for example, and then you get to the front of your house, that's where you live, and then the security man says you can't go in, and then you say, oh, this is my dad's house, and then the security says you can't go in. Then you show him your ID card that shows that you bear the same name and you probably look alike, and it says you still can't go in, except it's this new security man. If he's used to seeing you or he has seen you before and he's saying that you can't go in, he should know that there's a tendency he will be fired. You know the reason why? If there's anybody who is legitimate in this house, it should be you, not him. So that's really what is going on. Like, we have been told to approach the throne in purity and authenticity. God is not expecting you to approach him perfect. He knows who the heck you are. He knows whether you tell lies or you don't tell lies, you masturbate, you watch porn, you have sex, you steal, whatever. He knows it. Like, he knows. He has your X-ray. He's watching you like this on 15D, whatever D, like he knows. So he's not expecting perfection. He's not expecting you to come like we try to impress our friends or anybody around us. He's not expecting you to have an accent. He's not expecting you to come with some level of glamour or show up like thunder or lightning. It is father and child. And if you think that at every point in time you need a middleman, there's a spiritual challenge that we need to fix, and it's probably from an emotional challenge. When you go into the presence of God, you are going spiritually naked, and you are opening your eyes to let him know how much you love him. Like, you are worshiping in truth and in spirit. You are genuinely connecting. If you cannot connect, one of the disconnecting factors is the not feel good enough syndrome. Something is saying to you, I just messed up, and while I'm worshiping, the devil is reminding me of who the heck I am, and I don't think that I'm good enough. God is not in the business of keeping scores of sin. God is not waiting to judge you. There's this script. I've met some people where everything at the back of their mind is, oh, I want to make it to heaven. I want to make it to heaven. They're very heaven conscious, and it's good. But we were not created to just go to heaven. You were created to experience heaven on earth. So the question is, God is not waiting or looking around to judge you. He's not waiting like a school principal writing the names of noisemakers on earth. He's not waiting to embarrass you. He's not waiting. You know how when we were younger, our parents or some custodians used to set traps so that they can beat you or punish you or disgrace you? God ain't do nothing shitty. He doesn't do those kind of things. He's not looking around to catch you or mess you up. He's not using spiritual CCTV to condemn you. So this heavy spirit of criticism, condemnation, destruction, and shame is what I came for this afternoon. It is Thanksgiving in the US. I should be hanging out with my friends now. It is a year after my father's death. I should not even be having this conversation, but I am here for you to know how serious this is. This is a huge sacrifice. That rock of shame, that rock of criticism, that rock of condemnation, that rock of embarrassment, that disgraceful negative thought that reminds you every time that you are not good enough, I have come to break it by the authority of God that I carry, that I speak with, that I function in. That rock that is making you feel that because you had a child as a teenager or a youth, or because you experienced a divorce, or because you lost your womb, or because you have some things with the shape of your body or because you limp, or because you have an issue one way or the other, or because of your background, that shame that came from your report card, that shame that came from sexual abuse, that shame that came from pregnancy, that came from abortion, that shame that is available every time you check the size of your organ and you say, oh, it's not as big as, that shame that is from the shape of your body, that shame that is from anywhere that adults installed in you, that adults put upon you from childhood and you are still pulling across, that shame that is from making a bad mistake, whether marital or financial, and people will not forgive you for. That is not my business. What is my business is that you would approach your father like a child who knows what he is. You would approach your father like a child who understands that I have direct access, because those who know their God, those who know their dad, those who understand the concept of fatherhood. Come, you were not adopted, with a paper and you were signed, all of those things. No, your adoption was before you were born. Your adoption, like you were adopted in advance. They didn't have to do anything legal. All they needed to do was to shed blood. The essence of that shedding of blood and sacrifice is that it cements covenant. So that thing that is stopping you from approaching the throne of grace, I don't know your religion and I don't care about it, to be very honest. I am just interested in you understanding who you truly are. Because once you understand your identity, you will stop to struggle. Once you understand who you are, you will stop malfunctioning and trying to adapt and be intimidated and be threatened. People usually say to me, Edie, you must be very intimidating. And I'm like, I'm not around intimidating people. If you feel intimidated by me, that's on you, not me. You are the one who lacks identity. Nobody intimidates me. My friends are richer, some of them, whatever. Like, everybody is good. Like, if you're even rich yourself, just put me on allowance. That's the same way I come here. Buy badges, give me money. I don't need the money to fluff around. I just want to see the money in my account. Let it just be breathing there. Let me do fluffy life and the big girl, sexy chick that I am. So, what I am saying to you today is, it is lack of, really, it is an identity crisis for you to be experiencing low self-esteem when people are sharing their wins on social media. Nobody really comes to come and say that I just masturbated yesterday, like no normal person. Nobody really comes to say, I just fought or I just beat up someone. We hardly all do that. We just all come here and give you all the little goody, beautiful, sexy stories that make it all look like we're all perfect. Yes, it's a script. We're all shooting a movie. Sometimes we're acting it out and it's really working. So the fact that a stranger's life is intimidating you is very suspicious. The fact that somebody else, and then envy and jealousy are extremely evil, because once you get into that zone, you can become anything. Friends kill themselves. They're really not friends. They're just demons hiding together, because you may be taking pictures with your enemy and you have no idea. But I am just here to let you know that once you understand the script and the template, you will function appropriately. You will not struggle. A Ferrari does not work like a Toyota. You can call both of them cars, but you know that one is a machine and another one is a car. A private jet and an economy ticket are two different ball games. When you are flying commercial, your life is in the hand of the airline. God is there, but the airline can determine when you will fly and if you will fly. If it's a private jet, you have more control, So if you genuinely know who you are, there are some battles you will not fight. You will not struggle over a lot of things. When we struggle and fight and condemn and whatever, it's an identity crisis. when we have to show up in the presence of God and we genuinely cannot worship. People have to whine us to worship. We have to, it's the same way they have to whine us to give. People have to be saying, they have to even concoct statement around if you give, if you don't give your tithe, things will be tight. Like we have to even become like a rapper or concord things for us to get money out of you. Something is fundamentally wrong, because when you genuinely love someone, you will give to the person. When you love God, you will not be doing calculation and math with 10%. If you have to be saying open your Bible to have to use 5 Bible verses to collect offering from children of God. Do you see how children relate to their parents? They are eating something and then they just put the spoon in mommy's mouth. They put the spoon in daddy's mouth. It is when they start getting older that they start thinking whether to give or not to give. And the reason for that is that an adult is beginning to suggest to them that you don't always have to share. They are suggesting and installing scarcity and management. So if you are listening to me today, you are not going to carry that shame beyond today. Thank you for buying the badge. There are 3 or some people that have bought badges today. Thank you. You are not going to keep carrying the shame. This thing happened to you as a teenager. Drop it. If you don't know how to drop it, get a therapist. Whatever happened to you when you were younger. And it is still controlling everything that you do. God does not keep record of wrongs. If he kept record of wrongs, David would not be a man after his own heart. If he kept record of wrongs, he would not use Rahab and some other people that God met. Oh gosh, I wanted to use one word. He would not even use them. One of the humans in the Bible that I suspect and look at with one kind of eye is Paul. Paul was a terrorist in his time. That was the king of Boko Haram. That human still wrote half of the Bible. Imagine if Paul was going with his shame. No. The next time you feel like praying and reading your Bible, read it like a child of God. Hear what your Father is saying. Let it look like you are reading one interesting story. When you are worshiping, worship from your soul. You are having a conversation with your dad. I just want to be where you were, dwelling daily in your presence. Just sing from your soul. Waymaker, miracle.